Welcome to Lesson 8-4, Evaluating Expressions. Our learning goal will be to evaluate expressions containing decimals using the order of operations. The learning goals for this lesson will be to write and interpret numerical expressions, to evaluate numerical expressions using parentheses, brackets, or braces, and to use the order of operations to evaluate expressions with whole numbers and decimals. We'll continue to work with PEMDAS to help us solve these expressions. Make sure you write down these learning goals in your math journal. This lesson is very similar to Lesson 8-3, except we'll be working with both whole numbers and decimals, and in some of the problems there will also be variables, which is when we have a letter representing a number in the expression. So let's review PEMDAS. If you don't have this memorized at this time, I would jot this down in your math journal to help you as you answer the practice problems. Remember, we solve parentheses and brackets first, then we solve exponents, then we solve multiplication and division moving from left to right, and then finally we solve addition and subtraction from left until we move through the problem to the right. So here's our first example. Evaluate the expression if n is equal to 6 2/10. So our expression, we have 9 8/10 plus n inside parentheses. So we know that n is equal to 6 2/10, and then we have to multiply that times 2 8/10. So let's work out this problem together. All right, so we're going to keep our parentheses here. 9 8/10 plus n we know is 6 2/10. So I'm going to fill that in. So when I follow PEMDAS, I know I need to solve anything in brackets or parentheses first. So I have 9 8/10 plus 6 2/10. And I know I have to line up my decimal points when I'm adding decimals. And this is going to give me 16. And now I multiply 16 times 2 8/10. So I'm going to put 16 here, 2 8/10 right here. Now when I multiply, 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 more is 12. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 more up here. When I multiply, 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 more is 3. So when I add, and then I have to bring my decimal point over one place to right here, I get 44 8/10 is my answer. Very similar to what we did in 8-3, just working with both whole numbers and decimals, and then we're working with variables in some of the problems. Let's take a look at our first practice problems. Okay, our first practice problem, we have 3 1/10 plus, inside parentheses we have 9 6/10 minus 2 3/10. Remember to use PEMDAS as you work through this. Press pause, and whenever you're ready to check your work, please press play. Okay, did you write 10 4/10? Well, let's rewrite that original problem. 3 1/10 plus 9 6/10 minus 2 3/10 in parentheses. So if I work this using PEMDAS, I know I need to do the work that's in the parentheses first. So I'm going to subtract 2 3/10 from 9 6/10, and that is going to give me 7 3/10. So I'm going to write that right underneath that part of the problem, so I know that I've worked that portion. And then I have to add 3 1/10 plus 7 3/10. Bring that decimal point right down, and I get 10 4/10. Nice job if you got that one right. Very similar to what we did in 8-3. Let's look at our next practice problem. Okay, our next practice problem, we're going to be working with decimals. We have a variable. We're going to do some division of decimals, it looks like, as well. So our variable is 3 6/10. Please use PEMDAS to work this problem. When you're ready to check yours with mine, press play. Did you write 54? Well, let's write out our original problem. We have 9 9/10 plus n divided by 2500, and we know that n is equal to 3 6/10. All right, so I'm going to write this out. 9 and 9/10 plus 3 and 6/10. And I know I need to work what's in the parentheses first, so I'm going to add 9 and 9/10 plus 3 and 6/10. That would be 15, and that would be 13. So I have 13 and 5/10. Then I'll be dividing that times 25/100. So I need to think back to my division of decimals. So if I wrote that problem, it would look like this. But in order to divide those decimals, I need to think back to what we learned in topic 7. I'm going to want to change both of these into whole numbers. And I do that in this case by multiplying both my divisor and my dividend by 100. I don't actually have to do that math. I know the trick of just moving my decimal point 2 places to make my divisor a whole number. And then I know I need to do the same to my dividend. So I'm going to rewrite that out over here so I have some room to work. So my new divisor becomes 25. Oops, my 2 disappeared. And then my new dividend is 1,350. Okay. And I'm going to work through my division. I know that 25 goes into 1 0 times. Subtract and bring down. 25 goes into 13 0 times. Going to subtract and bring down. I know that 25 times 4 is 100, so 25 times 5 is 125, which is going to get me very close. So this is 125. I'm subtracting. I'm going to bring down that 0. And 25 times 4 is 100. So I just got to practice my decimal division. So the answer to this problem is 54. Nice job if you got that one right. That was quite a bit of different types of math that we had to do. Okay, let's look at our practice problem number 3. We looked at 1 and 2, and now here is 3. So we have brackets, parentheses, no variables in this one, but be sure you follow PEMDAS as you work through this problem. Please press play whenever you're ready to check your work with mine. Did you write 9/10? Let's work this problem together. Okay, so our original problem was 18 and 9/10. We have a subtraction sign, we have brackets. Inside those brackets we have parentheses. We have division of 11 and 1/10. Got to close those parentheses. We have multiplication sign, and then we're closing the brackets. So a lot of things to take care of in here first. But remember PEMDAS. Okay, I have to look at parentheses or brackets first. Well, I know inside my brackets, then I have some parentheses that I have to look at. So I need to take care of 33 and 3/10 divided by 11 and 1/10 first. And I'm going to put this over here. So get to practice that division of decimals again. I know I'm going to move that decimal point over one place here and one place here. 111 will go into 3 0 times. It'll go into 33 0 times. 111 will go into 333 3 times. I didn't go ahead and work all that out, but you could on your paper. That's great if you do. Right here, so I know my answer inside those parentheses is going to be 3. Now I have to make sure that I do all of the work inside these brackets. This is kind of fun. It's kind of like a puzzle we have to solve. Now inside the brackets, I have 3 times 6 is 18. Now the math gets pretty easy here. I'm going to go ahead and work this out over here. If I have 18 and 9/10 and I'm subtracting 18 from it, to line up those decimal points, subtract, and that's going to give me 9/10 as my answer. Great job if you got that. Really, it looked pretty complicated to start off with, but if we just follow PEMDAS and then go back through and remember our dividing decimals in topic 7, it's not too bad to solve. So if you got that, give yourself a pat on the back. Good job. Okay, here's our challenge question. Addie bought a new pair of skis for $450. She put $120 down and got a student discount of $45. Her mother gave her half of the balance for her birthday. Write an expression to find the amount Addie still owes on the skis. What does she still own? So look back in your notes. Think about PEMDAS. This is a good challenge problem, but I know you can do it. Take your time. Think about how you'd want to put this together and what order of operations would need to be worked first, second, and third in order to answer this problem. Also think about different ways that you can write half within that expression. Give it your best shot, and we'll take a look at it tomorrow when you come to class. So let's finish up. Please review your learning goals. Do you have your learning goals written in your journal? Have you written your practice problem in your journal? Make sure you've written all of them and showed all of your work. Do you have the challenge problem written in your journal? And have you given it a really good try? Make sure you've written your answer as an expression and then that you've solved it to show how much she actually owes. You've now completed lesson 8-4. See you in the morning, and congratulations. Thanks for working so hard.